It looks like it's redirecting, so we're good there. All right, so I'm going to go over to the YouTube page real quick.
Sweet. I'm going to go to my pages here.
All right, so hey, welcome everybody. We are live on YouTube. I see us, so we are good to go there. Let us know if you can listen to us. We're doing the Agent Lead Source podcast a little bit different today. We're going to go solely live on YouTube. So if you're here live, let us know, drop a comment, and hit a share. That would be great. And then also, if you're on Apple, a 5-star goes a long way. All right, so we're hey, this is a lot simpler to go live on, Joseph.
It's much easier.
Forgot how easy it was. Now, I mean, there's no filler that we need to do. We can actually just get going.
Yeah, there's no 17 different camera angles, 6 different mics. It's just straight live on YouTube and record it straight for our podcast listeners.
Yeah, we can fire Pat now. We don't need a producer.
Pat, you're out of here.
Good morning, Jordy. Hearing you loud and clear. Hey, thanks so much, Jordy. Jordy's cool. One of the consistent listeners. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Jordy.
All righty. So you ready to go?
Let's rock it, man.
Awesome. Welcome to the Agent Lead Source podcast. Today we are covering YouTube leads for realtors. That's right. We are going to give you the step-by-step process on how to actually generate real estate leads on YouTube for your real estate business, where you're looking for buyers, sellers, investors, agent attraction, whatever it happens to be. We have the absolute answers for you. But before we get going, Joseph Gonzalez, my co-host, my partner in crime, how's it going?
It's going well, man. It's going well. I think our longtime listeners will know this about me, but I have 2 incredible young boys at home, one of them 2 and one of them 2 months. And we took them both in to get their shots today. So that was incredible. That was an interesting ride, to be honest with you, as a new father. Having gone through it once with a 2-month-old the first time, but now having both of them in the same room getting shots at the same time. The 2-year-old was a champ. He cried a little bit, and then I forgot how the baby cries whenever they get their shots, and it's yeah. Yeah, it's painful to hear. You're like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that same shot.
I saw
So, but
ice cream. He was
yeah,
good.
Yeah, that was after his nap. He got some ice cream. He got some gummies. He stuffed 6 gummies in his mouth after his shots. I guess he felt like he needed those immediately. Usually it's one at a time, but he was like, give me a handful of these gummies right now. I could use this. So
Through war.
yeah. But yeah, things are good, man. How are things going on your side of the world? You've been moving and shaking. You did a little Houston trip recently. You want us to tell everybody about that?
Yeah, no. So last week, the reason that we did not come to you live was because I was actually on the way to Houston. So it was an event that I couldn't move. So we needed to pre-record it and then upload it as normally we go on live. So if you've noticed, we are starting at 8 a.m. this time as opposed to 8 p.m. And we're talking about Central Standard Time. So we are still doing the live recording of the Agent Lead Source podcast, except now it's completely switched. So while it's morning for me now, it is what time for you?
It is currently, that's a good question. I don't even know what time. 9:40 p.m. here in Singapore.
There we go. So
Yeah.
as you can see, Joseph operates way better than I do. When we invert
We'll,
time.
we'll see if I start yawning or not in about 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, no, so it was an awesome event, fantastic event. We've got Warren in the house. Good morning from California. Warren is such so he's on the team. So he's part of the team. He gets up incredibly early. So thanks so much, Warren.
Man, that is early.
6:41 over there. So
thanks for being here. Warren.
One of the real ones. All right. So let's talk about some YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, Warren actually has a great channel. If you type in Pleasanton, California, 6 out of the top 10 videos are his. So
that's awesome.
He's got a strong presence there. So we might be pulling in from him for as we get going. But as we get going, let's start talking about some YouTube. First, let's set the foundation, because there's some folks that are thinking, well, YouTube sounds great, but that's for a Mr. Beast, that's for a Logan Paul, that's for a X, Y, and Z other type of YouTube content, but not for real estate. So to plead the case for a YouTube, let's understand a few things about YouTube. One, it's a search engine, meaning that people come to YouTube either to be entertained or to be educated. So people are going to type something in and something's going to come up. Ideally, it's going to be your video. So whenever somebody types in Pleasanton, California, as an example, then Warren's videos, 6 out of the top 10 are his. So
awesome.
they see a real estate agent that is part of the community. They see a real estate agent that's giving them the pros and cons. They see a real estate agent giving them the blueprint on moving to Pleasanton, California. They see a real estate agent that is active in that space. So it's just a fantastic strategy that, again, we're talking about. It's a search engine. Whenever you make a video, once you have it uploaded to YouTube, you're done. So it's going to work for you next week, next month, next year. And then I can continue going down the list, but one thing that I wanted to remind everybody, that YouTube, it's free. So you can upload an hour a day, you can upload an hour a month. It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to charge you anything. So we're not talking about advertising. This is organic based marketing. So
You think
fair?
You think agents like free things?
Nah, we like spending we like spending a lot of money for the ClickFunnels Mafia products that are, you know what they are.
I very seldom come across an agent who doesn't like free things, but whenever I do, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting that you don't like free things. They're usually just a cynical human being, but they have other things to deal with. No, and so YouTube, as we set the stage here, and Jaime kind of has done that already, but you have to think about YouTube as like, I think about the free economy, right? Everybody talks about this free economy stuff now. YouTube is the free economy. Like, you can create a YouTube channel, have less than 100 visitors or subscribers is what they're called on YouTube. And with that, you can still get a listing, or you can still find a pre-approved buyer. And all you did was create a video about your community, create a video about, a particular neighborhood, a particular school, neighborhood, and people just take to that because you're different than everybody else, right? Everybody else is doing lead forms, and everybody else is doing Facebook ads and all these other things. And you go in, you're like, I'm kind of interested in this neighborhood. I'm going to type that in. And as Warren has done in California, that particular person, that particular agent comes up. It's super easy to do it if you're just willing to put in a little bit of work to learn something new, right? A new skill set, if you will. And that skill set, it really is learning how to talk to a camera. And there's nobody else in the room. So the only person you're talking to is to yourself, which is really kind of weird, but also you're not standing on the stage talking to hundreds of people, right? So that should be a little bit of a relief to most people who are starting out on YouTube.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. You asked me how the event went, and I told you it went terrible last week.
I'm sure it didn't go as bad as Jaime is putting off, by the way, folks.
It was I'm speaking to Minnie, not because the event was terrible, it's because I you got to get your sea legs back. That was my first live event in a minute. So with video, you make a great point. You record something where you will be speaking to tens. Some of you are going to be speaking to hundreds. Some of you are going to be speaking to thousands, then millions. So the channel that I have, actually, I was looking at it the other day, and I can look at it now.
Tell us how many.
We let's see. The channel has 960,000 views.
That's crazy. You're almost at 1 million people.
Gonna hit a million views. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
That is wild to think about.
How much did it cost you to load every video besides your equipment, right? Like, you can use your phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's the equipment. Had I done this, I would probably gotten better views. But outside of equipment, which I don't want equipment to be the friction point, and we don't want to.
Right, it shouldn't be
friction point. We can do just enough. You record and you edit. I don't know. You don't record, but you edit with your iPad, right? So it's you could realistically, if you wanted to, record with your iPad and edit straight from there. So as far as how much it cost me, it cost me $0. Cost me
$0.
all of that.
Yeah, $0 to upload. And here's how I want people to think about this when we're talking about YouTube. Think about whatever email client you use. Think about wherever you're storing data and how much that usually costs, right? Anytime you have to store data somewhere, which by the way, video files are very big, especially once you start getting to the 10-minute mark or longer. We're talking 5-10 gigabytes. Think about, Jaime, you probably have what, 200, 300, I don't know, 500 videos. Think about the data storage you would have to have if you kept all those videos, right? And how much that data storage would cost. So if you subtract that cost from what it would normally cost you to store those videos, and you get to do it on YouTube for free and also help people at the same time, you're already on the upswing as far as positive cash flow is concerned by creating videos. Now, and I think you said this last week or a couple of weeks ago, Jaime, as we're talking about this, or the conversation we had, you actually get paid to create content.
I do.
Right? And
Literally.
so any of the real estate, yeah, literally, you get paid to create content. So any agents who are out there, you have to think about that particular thing in your mind every time you get ready to create a video. Of course, there's value and all these other things we'll talk about, but by creating a video, you're getting paid to create content, right? And so most content creators don't get paid to create content until months, years down the road, whenever they start having enough viewers, right? And so as a real estate agent, you have the opportunity to start getting paid probably within a month, 2 months, maybe. And you don't just get paid a little bit of money, you get paid a commission check, right? So if you're willing to take a step out and just you don't have to have confidence, like build the confidence over time, you will start getting paid to create content that you enjoy, right? And so it's really interesting to think about that particular process. It doesn't cost you a lot to get started, and you get paid for creating it, right? Like it's like one of the easiest startups to have.
1000%. You know what's going to really blow your mind? It wasn't until and this is a recent realization. Yes, there's 1 million views, or will be 1 million views on the channel here within a couple of weeks. But what's even crazier is that it's had 11.2 million impressions.
Jeez.
So an impression means that somebody saw your thumbnail, somebody saw your video, whether you put your images on there or not, or your photo on there or not. There's 11.2 million impressions that happen. Now, of course, not everybody clicked through and watched, but we're talking about 11.2 million impressions. Your face was out, at least mine. All my videos have my face on there, but my face was out there. So I'm trying to think of any other thing that could even come close. How much you would have to pay for either commercial time or billboard time or what have you to get to those numbers. It would cost a lot more.
You would have to pay quite a bit of money. You'd have to pay quite a bit of money in order for that to be effective, right? I think I saw somebody the other day that was asking about billboards, right? And the first thing I thought was, why would you ever pay for a billboard? But and the reason that thought came to mind is because you have YouTube and you have Facebook, right? Those are your like billboards, your moving billboards, your mobile billboards. And so if you're and somebody quoted them, like the cost can be anywhere from several hundred to $30,000, depending on the location of the billboard, right? And so here we are saying, why would you do that if you could create create YouTube content, not just one piece of content that's static and you have to wait for people to come by. You create a YouTube video that's constantly moving and people are continuously seeing that, right? And a lot of people just don't grasp that concept. I want to make a statement because Jaime knows this. I'm on this YouTube path. I'm trying to chase Jaime in this YouTube path and learn from him and learn all the great things that he's done. So I have my last 30 days pulled up here. And so I want people to understand this. And then I'll give tips on how I did this so people can use this to do it in real estate. So I have last 30 days, 2.42 or 2,420 views, right? So 2,420 people have come through and watched this or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think it's total, I have 7,550 views, right? And that's on 30 videos, by the way, right? And that's without promoting it. And so what I want people to understand is there have been 2,000 views to my channel in 30 days. And I paid $0 for that. If I were to do that on Facebook, I'm going to pay at least a couple $100 for that to happen. Right. And by the way, there are ways to take this number and extrapolate the videos and know how to actually promote it to get more free views in other locations, which I think we'll talk about some of the strategies here in a minute. But I just want to make sure we harp on the point. Like, it's not that hard once you start practicing and just getting in front of the camera and just talking about certain things. And we'll give you some tips in a second. But just get started, because 2,000 people are waiting to see you. Like, that's, I don't even know how to explain that any different. Like, for free, 2,000 people have seen my content, and they can see yours too.
I love it. I love it. No, that's a great example. So you've really been putting in the work. So I'm glad it's taken off as it has. You're actually growing at a faster clip than I was. So
I got some tips and tricks for people. I'll give them out in a second.
there you go. There you go. So let's see what's going on in the comment section. Rick, good morning. Good morning, Rick. One of the loyal ones too. I appreciate you.
Morning.
On Robin, she says, he or she says thanks. So thank you. All right, so let's get a little bit more tactical. I think we've pleaded the case. I think at this point it's more actionable. We need something that we can really get to the people. So we're gonna really bypass making the video. Just remember that, well, actually my phone's right there. Your phone is going to work just fine.
Yeah.
Now, just giving you a little bit of action beyond that as you start making more videos, as you start improving, all that fun stuff. The hierarchy of needs in YouTube is improving your audio comes next. So again, we're not asking you to spend anything more than what you already have, which is your phone. Now, when you start looking to improve, your audio is going to be the first thing that you improve, because people can forgive you for a fuzzy image, but they're not going to forgive you for echoey, just grainy, terrible audio. So just have that understanding. The second thing you want to improve is your lighting. So the lighting is very easy to control. If you are doing natural light, so sitting in front of a window and getting your light naturally, great. But what happens when you have to do things through the day, because you're a real estate agent, and you want to record at night? Well, you want to be able to replicate that. So getting your lighting right. So right now I'm lit through several different, this little light here. And then the third is then you start improving your camera, your video. So I'm actually recording here on a camera, and I think you're on a camera as well, right, Joseph?
That's correct. Yeah.
So that's that hierarchy. So again, audio, lighting, and then video. I just wanted to start there. We're not going to get into the actual making of the videos, because I think that that's not where we're going to best serve you when it comes to the YouTube leads for realtors. We want to honor that title of the podcast, but just giving you a little bit of a framework of what it actually looks like as you start improving, because a lot of people are going to go out there and buy a $2,000 camera when they shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, if you go out and you buy a $2,000 camera and you have no idea of the content that you want to create, it's like being a photographer and going out and buying $5,000 to $10,000 worth of camera equipment and not even knowing who your clients are and not even knowing if anybody wants to work with you yet. I understand the idea of like, okay, I can tiptoe into this and then, learn as I go versus just jumping in the deep end. But don't jump in the deep end and spend a ton of money, right? Jump in the deep end by just creating first. And then once you start creating and you start seeing the content that people like, then you can say, okay, how can I improve this content, right? And by the way, most of you who are watching this or listening to this, depending on where you're catching this content, with a phone, you can go out and record out in the daytime with your iPhone or whatever type of phone you have, and it adjusts so well with the lighting and the dynamic range, which we're not going to get to dynamic range, but it's just like the lighting on your face versus the lighting in the background, that you can create fantastic home tour videos in new new construction areas that will look really nice compared to trying to get a fancy camera and do all this other stuff. Versus going out and buying a whole bunch of new equipment, right? Like, go do the basic stuff that we're going to talk about. And then, as Jaime said, then build out what you need to build out after you have some closings from YouTube. Don't go buy all the YouTube equipment first.
1,000%, 1,000%. Again, the biggest limitation here is going to be all of the friction that you think is there and all the friction that you start presenting. So a lot of roadblocks into getting to YouTube. Nobody's there. Well, there's 2 billion monthly users every single month. To put that in perspective, it's twice the size of Instagram. So it's not a case of will it work. It's not a case of we're just presenting a lot. We in general, we present a lot of roadblocks. So
Yeah.
when we're talking about getting tactical, the videos to make, here's really the crux of it: getting people to view your content
Yeah.
and then asking them to reach out to you. That's
That,
basic.
yeah.
That's
That's it.
basically it. Now there's
I
ways
like
in
it.
between that, but we're getting the content out there so people know who we are, raise awareness, getting a good amount of impressions, exposure, and people viewing us, because once they start viewing us, they start getting into a relationship with us. And we don't know
Hmm.
who's on the other side of that screen. So there's many times where I pick up the phone and, hey, I can't believe you actually picked up. Why wouldn't I pick up? Right?
Yeah.
You're going to get those conversations. I can't believe I'm actually speaking to you. I'm just used to seeing you on YouTube. Well, I mean, we're talking now. How can I help you? So
Yeah. I'm
it's
a
that
human.
element. Exactly. So it's just
Yeah.
get to put out this product and then people reach out to you. I,
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's it. I mean, I'm trying to find for we're gonna get more tactical, but that's basically a
You're,
summary, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's that's step one. Step two: create content. Wait for people to call you. Right. And here's the reality of it. If you use use your city terms or use your city name and all these things, um, you don't have to pay for it. YouTube will put it in front of the people that it needs to put it in front of, right? And so whereas we're talking about Facebook advertising and spending money, you've got to pay to get in front of these people. And
Yeah.
so yes, it may take a little bit longer time in some cases, but it's free and it's going to be there, as Jaime stated previously. It's going to be there forever, right? And so now you're just like waiting for people to come in. They start all of a sudden people are commenting on your videos. You're like, oh, okay, I guess I got to reply back now. As Jaime said, somebody will find you on Facebook or somebody will call you and you're like, oh yeah, I'm here. This is me. This is what I do. This is why I do this. Or in my case, I think the first week that I actually started pushing content on YouTube, somebody went and found me on Facebook, sent me a message, was like, hey, I want to chat with you, right? Like, it's like it just works, and you just have to believe that it's going to work and continue trying and trying. And by the way, you're not marketing to the entire world; you're marketing to your market, so that makes it even better
Mhm.
for you, right?
Yeah.
It's a much smaller pool and a much better pool for you. Like if you're doing content specifically for your city, your neighborhoods, your zip codes, guess what? Your content's going to come up before, or your content's just going to come up. Period. Right.
Yeah. No, and I think that you hit it right on the head. You who you're speaking to, because that matters. So
Yeah.
here's what we need to really understand when, as we're talking about what content do we need to create.
Mm.
Think of your consumer. Think of, if you're speaking to buyers, make content that appeals to buyers. If you're
Yeah.
targeting sellers, make content that resonates with homeowners. They're the ones that have a home to sell. If
Yeah.
you're looking for investors, then speak the investor language. If you're
Yeah.
doing anything else, whoever you're speaking to, make content that is answering their questions, that is entertaining, whatever it is that they're trying to do. You need to understand who you're speaking to. So the channel that I reference is speaking to real estate agents. The one that you're actually on right now, this is
Yeah.
that is speaking to real estate agents, and Joseph's
Yeah.
is as well. Now
Yeah.
we have several other channels that speak more to the general buyers and sellers and all that fun stuff, but we understand that every single channel is speaking to a specific audience. So again,
Yeah.
it's important that we make that known, because one, we need to get that exposure by getting views, so then people can actually reach out to us. So what we want to understand above everything else is, let's just take a buyer as an example. What information do they need to know?
Yeah.
And when do they need to know it? So we know that
Yeah.
they're at some point they're going to reach out to a real estate agent, and we want that decision to be at us. That's our decision point for as a real estate
Yeah.
agent. That's when they pick up the phone, send the email, submit their information. They need to speak with somebody because they're ready to go and purchase.
Yeah.
So that's the event for us. It's not actually the close, because if you're waiting for the close, then they're closing with somebody else. So the decision point is for the real estate agent. So then you need to start answering, what's being asked over here. How do I actually answer that question? Do I need a
Hmm.
real estate agent to purchase a home? Well, that's a little bit closer to the decision point, right?
Hmm.
How to buy a house? Well, that's a little bit further back,
Yeah.
right? So just understanding this timeline of when things are happening That's how you start making your content. You don't always want to be here because you haven't built relationship and you're banking on the fact that they're going to see your video. It's almost like running that Facebook ad, Joseph. You're banking on the absolute opportune time that, hey, I needed a realtor and it was just God's blessing that I saw your Facebook ad.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to say that.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that. So we need to start building relationship from way back here from questions that they're asking. So then they know that they're watching all these videos. By the time that they're ready to reach out, I got to reach out to Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be no easier lead to convert than a YouTube lead.
Yeah. You're building that trust, right? So, whenever you were saying earlier, what do you need to do in order to create content? And so one of the things I always think about, everybody says provide value, which is true. But what do we mean when we say provide value? How do you start to think of ideas to provide value? And Jaime was kind of referencing this, is find out what the problems are, right? Everything in life, whenever you're getting ready to make money, start a business, is all about problem solving. And so as we talk about problem solving, the discussions that we need to have with buyers and the discussions we need to have with sellers are all very similar for every buyer and every seller. Now, the situations may fluctuate within the actual transaction itself, right? But they all have the same questions, right? So you need to start making videos on the questions that buyers and sellers have. And then as you do that, that's the problem that you're solving in their mind. Because most of the time, as a buyer of a product, we just need somebody to tell us and basically give us the opportunity and the right to actually make this thing happen. It's like, I do want to buy a house, but I need somebody to tell me it's going to be okay. I do want to sell my house, but I need somebody to tell me that I am going to make $50,000 whenever I do it, right? And so as you start getting ready to create your content around, as Jaime said, your end user, but think about their problems that they're having, the thoughts that they're having. How do you help them overcome those by being that person that's going to be the one that creates the video for that, right? It's like, what is the first step to buying a house? Here's step one. What happens after I close on my house? Here are the steps that happen after you close your house. Like, these things are all questions that every buyer has. What happens whenever I get ready to sell my house? What is the cost to the agent or to me? What are the things that I'm looking at, spending money on? Those type of videos, the how-to videos, the educational videos, are for our industry, are what help get people to want to contact you. And if you don't believe me, go look at some of the highest, and Jaime knows some of these folks and talks to them. Go look at what content of theirs is producing the most views. It's the, how do I do this? What are the problems that I need to look for before I do XYZ, right? As a home buyer, as a home seller. You do that for your own market, you'll be the king of your market, or queen, right?
100%. 100%. As we're talking, and let us know if this is making sense. So if this is making sense in live, in the live chat, then let us know in the comment section. If you're listening to us on the podcast, then a 5-star review would go a long way. That would really help us understand that we are doing something right in your eyes. So really do appreciate that support in that space as well. So when we're talking about the actual content to make, we already talked about the decision point. And sorry for the podcast listeners, I was kind of doing things with my hands, so I forget that sometimes we're on an audio platform as well. So just understand that there's a decision point, and that decision point is them reaching out to you as a real estate agent. And the further back that you go from that decision point, it's going to take a little bit longer for them to reach out to you, but that's okay. You're building relationship. As far as the videos that you're making, just want to give some title suggestions, some video topics, because we do want to get as actionable as possible. Moving to Dallas, it's a great video to make. That is going to give you a good base of people that are typing in moving to Dallas over from Google, because as a quick reminder, Google does own YouTube. So we're getting that search engine optimization juice, that SEO. It's going to help out with your views. So you're going to start pulling people in from outside what YouTube considers external traffic and puts them into your funnel, if you will. So that's one video to make. Another video to make would be top neighborhoods in Dallas. That gives you the insider information, because although I know everything, I shouldn't say everything, I know a lot of things about Dallas. I don't know anything about Phoenix.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Miami. I don't know anything about New York.
Yeah.
So you're providing that context and bringing people in that are moving into the space, into the city, and you're giving them the, hey, this is what's up. You want to avoid this part, and without violating housing or anything else. What
Yeah.
we're talking about, you want to avoid this part is if you have a family, don't live in uptown. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily the vibe that you want. You want to live
Yeah.
more over here, right? So
Yeah.
just giving people again, we're not trying to suggest that you need to violate any housing,
Yeah.
uh,
No steering.
no
Yeah.
steering, but you
Yeah.
do know the lay of the land. You don't you provide the same counsel to your clients in private, the same counsel that you're going to provide to people in public, but now you're
Yeah.
speaking on one to many as opposed to one to one.
Love it. No, I love it. Yeah. There's so many videos to be able to create for particular particular city, right? So here's one that I don't think anybody's really doing right now. And you can do this for every neighborhood. And so what you want to do is you want to say the cost of living in X neighborhood and X city, right? So you can do that for every neighborhood and every neighborhood in your city or
Yeah.
town, right? And so that gives you just like a plethora of content to create, because you can say the average home price for this neighborhood is XYZ, the average number of bedrooms, average number of bathrooms. This is why it's so popular. This is why it's not very popular, whatever the case is. But you have every neighborhood in your city that you can create a video about. And your video, it'll probably be 6-10 minutes maybe, which is perfect. You just need people to find you and know that you're the authority of that. Another video that I was thinking about is, and nobody's doing this, but everybody's sending out flyers for it, is here are the homes that sold in whatever neighborhood, and here are the prices that they sold for based on my MLS, right? Because you want to be able to, so if the agent or broker calls you and says, why are you talking about my house that I sold? You can say, well, it's from the MLS, so I can talk about it. But you can say, here are the houses that sold in whatever neighborhood, and this is the average sales price for that neighborhood for this month. And so what you've done is every neighborhood should have several houses that have sold, right? Or zip codes. And what you can do is you can create a video for each zip code, or create a month. I wouldn't do a monthly because then you don't have enough content to create off of, but I would probably do a video for each zip code or each neighborhood for the month, each neighborhood, each zip code monthly. And that's going to give you 5, 6, 10, however many neighborhoods you have or zip codes you have in your area to talk about, and then have people find you. So you never run out of content to actually create every month. You probably have six, let's call it 6 times 12 at a minimum. So you have 36 videos right there for the year that you can create off of. Actually, 6 times 12 is 72. 72 videos that you can create. I'm terrible at math. And so you have 72 videos you can create for the year, and you have 6 videos at a minimum per month if you have at least 6 neighborhoods or 6 zip codes. So you are becoming the authority, and then people are gonna be like, oh, this person knows what houses are selling, so they must be a pretty good agent. They might be able to list my house. And so that's when you start getting these phone calls.
100%. No, that's a great strategy. That's one of the biggest questions that we get is, what do I record about? Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much. If again, we need to reduce that friction. There's so many different topics that we can cover. You should be overwhelmed with topics. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be overwhelmed with what should I record.
Yeah.
You should be overwhelmed with topics. Now,
Yeah.
the strategy that Joseph laid out, that's giving you that digital mayor vibe. It's giving you that authority placement. It's just giving you a lot of, hey, people realize that, hey, this is tied to real estate in some capacity in a good way, meaning
Yeah.
you're establishing your brand, establishing the authority in the space. So you are that person. You
Yeah.
are, you have a digital yard sign in their mind as opposed to having a physical yard sign in their property, which that'd be awesome if you control 60% of the neighborhood, but this is how you can control 60% of the online market, which would be much better for you long term than the
Yeah.
present real estate agent that's there right now with their yard signs. Because we all know those agents that have absolutely crushed a certain area, certain neighborhood. Great, good for them. But if they're not on the online top of mind, that 60% that they have of that market share, that 30% that they have that market share is going to quickly dwindle
That's
very
correct.
quick.
That's
So
correct.
that's a fantastic strategy. And that's something that, again, we have to kind of pull back and we need to be making videos that are going to get viewed, that make sense for real estate, because they need to be attached to you as a real estate agent. So if you're making videos on cooking,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with making videos about cooking if you tie it into real estate, as if you're telling a story to real estate and things of that nature. But if you're trying to do a cooking channel, cooking show, you need to start another channel altogether, because that's not going to give you the success that you want. Sure, you may get views, but at that point, you probably need to look at another profession. So we need to make videos and get views that make sense for what you're trying to accomplish. And that goes back to understanding what buyers need, what sellers need, and the like.
So Jaime, I was thinking about this the strategy. We've talked about it, gosh, a long time ago, but basically creating CMAs for past clients or past leads, right? And then just sending it to everybody that is a past seller, past lead that has a home or whatever. And so back in the day, whenever I first started in real estate and I was working for a brokerage, there was a young man that came in, and our broker would spend, I don't know how many, at least $10,000 a month on advertising, right? So he'd get all these leads, and you know how the lead game is. It's like 1-2%, right? Most lead generation things. And so he had thousands upon thousands of leads that just had not been touched for the last 3 or 4 years. And these leads came from a company that starts with a Z. So this young man was like, hey, I'm going to start calling these leads if you don't mind. And the broker was like, yeah, there's nobody else is doing anything with them. And so he started calling these leads. And so this is going to lead to YouTube in just a minute. I promise you guys it'll tie into it. And so he starts calling these leads, and we're talking he called the first day, and within the first day, there was at least $5 million of people who had sold their houses that the brokerage just never called again, right? So he missed out on at least $5 million, and he was probably a quarter of the way to the leads. So right there, that tells you, okay, this is how it triggers my brain. I'm going, okay, if I work for a brokerage, the brokerage I know did lead generation at some point, right? Or if they're still doing lead generation, and there's a ton of these listing leads that are just sitting there. So my thing would be, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Broker owner, this for those of you who have a broker that you like. Hey, you have all these past leads that were listing leads. Is there anything going on with those leads? If not, I would like to be able to contact them, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to go create a CMA for every one of them, every single one. And then you're going to reach out if you have their email, if you get their phone number, whatever have you, and you're going to send the CMA to them. Now, a lot of you are probably sitting on this video or listening to this going, man, that's a lot of work, dude. I don't think I'm really going to do that. Well, let me tell you this. If you knew that if you were going to send out 100 CMAs and 5 of them were going to be possible listings, would you do it? Right? Would you spend the 10 hours or 20 hours to create a CMA for 100 different, I don't know the time frame for you, but create 100 different CMAs to send out to all these different possible sellers if you're going to get 5 listings? Yeah, you should, right? And so if you have a broker where they've done listing leads in the past and those leads are just sitting there, and you can go ask your broker and say, hey, I'll try to get them, and I'll split the cost with you, or I got to pay you anyway because you're my broker. Let me follow up with these leads and go create these CMAs for all these past leads that they have, and be amazed because you'll get some listings from it.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. And when we're talking about the organic side, we're talking about free. We're talking about ways that you can improve your business.
And so the way to tie that into YouTube, my apologies. The way to tie that into YouTube is to put all the CMAs on YouTube, right? So then they come to your YouTube channel to see your content. And so you can do an unlisted video that's particular to them. So they can come to the unlisted video, still have all your contact information in there. And then they get to go see all your other content about selling a house for the first time, about selling your house for the most money, about selling your house the fastest, so forth and so on. But now it's unlisted, but it's on your YouTube channel and it's particular to them. And so whenever they come there, they're going to see all your other content. And so that was the final point of that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's that Trojan horse where they're going. I mean, it's even a better user experience because everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, most people are aware and prefer the YouTube interface than having to download a Google video. Some people don't have Google. I mean, we can run into so many different examples, but when people click on YouTube, chances are they have the app. If not,
Yeah.
if they're on the desktop, it goes straight to YouTube. So
Yeah.
it's a better user experience. So you're Trojan horsing, oh wow, Joseph's got I didn't know Joseph had a YouTube channel. Well, let me click. Whoa, there's 30 videos here. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just see what's going on here. So it's
Yeah.
that
Watch my
Trojan.
CM. Yeah. Watch my CMA. He did a great job, or she did, whoever was watching this, or whoever created this did a great job. They told me where my house is located. There's a video Google map of my house. Um, I have the comparisons. I can see which houses they compared. I know those houses that are in the neighborhood. They did a great job with that. Oh, like Jaime said, now they have more content. Let me go check out what else they're talking about. And that's that trusting, right? They start trusting you, right? And all of a sudden they're like, I do want to sell my house actually, and that number sounds really good. I'm gonna text them. I'm gonna give them a call, right?
Yeah. Now, if you want to, that's that Trojan horse. I like that strategy. I really like that strategy. If you want to go into a similar type strategy, making videos that I call the workflow videos, where you're making videos of specific topics that you address on a one-to-one setting all of the time. You
Mm-hmm.
address the home buying process probably with the same client probably like 10 times. Like, what's the
Yeah.
option period again? Okay, well, we're going to go through this for the 30th time, but
Yeah.
I promise it's going to be a last time. So making a video about everything that you do repetitively. What is the option period? You answer that all day long. The home buying process, the home selling process, earnest money, where the checks go, who they get made out to, what's the difference between option and earnest, what are contingencies? All of these, again, you should be overwhelmed with topics. You should not be overwhelmed with what should I record. So there's so many different videos that you can make. Again, I'm going back to the concept of workflow videos. Your workflow videos help you in your workflow.
Yeah.
So Joseph calls, hey, I'd like to buy a house. Fantastic. Down payment. Are you employed? Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff, right? So I qualify you. And then whether we go into the buyer presentation, what have you, let's just say we briefly did that over the phone. Say, hey, fantastic, Joseph. I absolutely love that we connected today. I'm going to send you a quick video that's going to
Mm-hmm.
cover a lot of the elements that we talked about today, but it's going to go much more in depth. Before we meet at my office, let's just say tomorrow at 3 p.m., I want you to do me a favor and watch this 30-minute video. If you want to 2x the speed, I won't blame you. I do that on my content as well. So
Mm-hmm.
again, just do me a huge favor, spare 30 minutes of your time before we meet on tomorrow at 3 p.m. at my office.
Yeah.
And what did you just do? You most likely talked about the home buying process or addressed any questions that they had. But now, whenever you sent that video, you're going to address all the questions that they're going to have. You're going to actually do the presentation. You've recorded it.
Yeah.
So now by the time you get to the appointment, you're not going to redo the same thing. You're just going to address any questions. So that's a way to amplify your time or magnify your time and gain some time back,
Yeah.
because you shouldn't be doing a 2-hour buyer presentation. That's silly at this point. By the
Yeah.
time you show up, it's like, hey, no, we're ready to go. Awesome, great. If you have some time, let's go check out some houses.
Yeah.
What have you?
Yeah.
So these
So much
workflow
easier.
videos are supposed to give you your time back. You embed them into your workflow where it makes sense.
Yeah. I like that. So I used to work with this. Actually, I still chat with this lender. The lender is doing some stuff for me right now. Actually, he's a fantastic guy. And one of the things they did that was really, really cool was every step of the way through the buying process for their approval, they had a video they would send. The
Yep.
only thing that I didn't, thing that they could have done better, they did a great job. They did a great job. But instead of sending them to a website to go click on it to download the video or to go, whatever, I felt like they were missing out. By the way, your camera just went off, Jaime.
Yep.
I felt like they were missing out on the opportunity to have their viewers gain more trust in them and to share more of their content with their other friends or family members, right? And have them subscribe to their channel. And so anytime another video came out, that would know. But they did a great job of creating the content, but I felt like they could have done that and then created a playlist on YouTube to allow people to go through that playlist as well, right? So that by the time they met with them, they're like, man, this is good stuff, right? You're awesome. I'm glad you created this content. And so I like that workflow idea quite a bit. So let's talk about some more videos for our agents that are listening and watching to create. And by the way, if you're watching this, you have any questions about any of this stuff, just comment down below, let us know.
Right
Or if
on
you
cue,
like any of these
Joseph.
tips.
Right on cue. Dan Ganator. So he's a fantastic agent out of Florida. He's one of the real
What's up,
ones as
Dan?
well.
What's up, Dan?
Let's see. Would you make these workflow videos unlisted or public? I would do
Uh,
both.
yeah, I would, if I'm going to send it to, yeah, you can upload it twice. If I'm going to send it directly to somebody, I want them to feel like it's personalized for them. So I'll probably send it unlisted and even tell them, hey, it's unlisted, but you can look at my other videos on the channel. And then have another one that's, as Hyman just stated, that's public so that other people can find you organically, right? And that would be the reason that you would want to do the public one, right?
Not that this is going to happen, but understand that this is going to happen. When somebody starts looking up what is the option period and they're working with an agent, they'd much rather work with somebody that when they type in, I don't want to ask this agent because I've already asked them 30,000 questions. When we go over to YouTube, what is the option period? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah,
Oh, and
yeah,
he's in my market. Now, again,
yeah,
I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that's going to happen. So
yeah, yeah.
whenever you make the videos addressing, now, of course, with the workflow video, and that's a great question, Dan, with your workflow videos, you want to make them general enough to where the general populace benefits. You certainly aren't going to say, hey, Joseph, thanks so much. Really appreciate you. No, that's so you kind of make it generic, but then you're gonna have people that are gonna be asking those questions because they either didn't think about that with their agent wasn't able to articulate that. They have some, they have some
They just
time
didn't know to
to
ask.
learn.
Yeah,
Exactly. So yes, you can do both. Preferably, I would as we get going, or as you get going, I would suggest that workflow videos would be public and then work on more personalized ones. But right now, it's about getting this traffic out here that's absolutely astronomical and pulling them into your funnel.
yeah, yeah. Let them know who you are. So great question, Dan. So let's talk about another video. So we talked about the listing side. I want to talk, you talked about buying side. I want to talk about a little bit more about buying side.
Yeah.
Here's what people have to understand that are agents. People don't work with you just because you're you, right? People don't buy houses because they know a real estate agent. That's not why they buy houses, right? They buy houses because the house is nice and shiny and they want that house, right? And so, as fantastic as we all are as human beings, and as fantastic as our mothers tell us and our fathers tell us that we are, you're not the reason somebody buys a house. So the reason they buy the house again is because of the house. So what I want you to think about if you live in a area that has new construction is I saw a great video, and this is the reason this is coming. I can't remember the agent's name, but I really enjoyed it. And so what he did was he said, think about buying new construction in whatever city, start to finish. And so what he did was he had a video and he was like, this is what the house looks like when it started. And so it was perfect. They had a spec house that was just all boards. And he was like, that's what it looks like. But now I'm going to take you through a tour of the house completed. And this is the house that my clients are buying, right? And the house doesn't have to be a house that your clients are buying. People that are in new construction, the builders will let you walk through any house as long as you're an agent. Actually, they'll let anybody walk through it as long as it's open hours. So he literally did a video. He's like, had a camera. It was on an iPhone. Here's the house that this is what the house looks like whenever it's getting started, and this is the house when it's done. We're going to tour this house right now. And so I was intrigued. I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, right across the street, the done house, right? Because usually that's how it works in new construction. It's just like every few houses is the same house. And so then he walked through the house and was like, here's the bedroom, here's the bathroom, this is how many square feet, this is how many, whatever. Here's the backyard, here's the front yard. If you're looking to see how long the process takes to buy a new construction house and your house end up like this, just give me a call or shoot me a text message, right? Super, super quick video, 5-10 minutes maybe. And there was a video and he got a buyer. I know he posted about it. He got a buyer from that video, yeah. Right? And so for those of you who are interested in getting buyers in this market, you can go ahead and do a video like that. And it's, again, free, right? You have somebody else's building the house, somebody else's listing, quote unquote listing, the builders. And now you just create a video about it and then you wait for people to come see. And you're just doing like new construction, start to finish in whatever city. And yes, it's kind of a clickbait title, but it truly is like, that's the start of the house. Here's the finished product, right?
I dig it. I dig it. Just like, no, that's so good. Just like anything
It
in
was
real
amazing.
estate, or any industry really, the more specialized that you become, the more irreplaceable you become.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is if you start going after niches, you're not going to get as many views, but the views that you're going to get are going to be meaningful views. If somebody watches your probate video, so explain the probate process, there's a reason they're there.
Yeah.
If somebody watches your divorce video, how to get divorced when selling your house or whatever, or how to sell your
Yeah.
house during a divorce, whatever, you
Yeah.
explain that process, people are gonna watch that intentionally. If you make the videos that assisted oh my gosh, what's it called? Um Assisted living. Wow, space. Assisted living, what happens when your parents or grandparents are going into assisted living, just
Hmm.
giving people, going back to the problem. Well, probate, unfortunately, there was a death, right? So that's a
Yeah.
problem. Divorce, big problem, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking about all these different problems. If you're out there solving those, here's the secret. When you're first, you don't have to be good.
No.
When you're
No.
first, you don't have to be good. Even when you're second, you don't have to be that good. Yours,
Yeah.
it's YouTube is so wide open right now. It's people are starting to really catch on. I know that again, we've highlighted a few of you already, and I'm really appreciate you are on. Warren, he's been at this for a while, and he's seen some great results. Dan, he's been at this for a while, and he continues to grow his reach. So he's got a lot of videos out there that are just going to continue getting more and more views in his Orlando market. So not only does he bring people from buyers and sellers standpoint, but also whenever somebody is searching for a referral down in Orlando, who are they reaching out to?
Mm, that's right. That's right. It, so I like you. I like that you went to the route for referrals. So, I mean, you and I talked about this back whenever I was at my other office when we first started doing this podcast and doing the YouTube side of things as well. And I told you one of my plans was to start sending referrals across the country,
Yeah.
right? And any agent can do that, by the way. You can create content around your market. As you think about your market, you can create content that is very general to be able to send referrals to other markets. And a lot of agents miss the boat on that type of stuff because they only think so small, right? Not saying every agent thinks small. I think there are a lot of great agents that are big out there, and you actually, most of you probably look up to them. And if you start thinking a bit bigger, not only is that going to be able to get you referrals other places, but it's going to open up your mind to think differently, to create more content. And so that's another thing that I hope agents are understanding as they're listening to us. And we're talking about this YouTube situation and it kind of being the beginning for agents really getting into it. You got to stay consistent, but you have to learn from other people that are around the world and around the country. And once you start seeing these things and watching stuff, and I'm not saying like be in there all day, every day, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying pull some ideas, let those ideas spur other ideas. Every time I create a video, I'm like, man, after I created that video, there was one tip in there that I think I can, extrapolate a little bit more from to create another video.
Yeah.
Right. And so you as an agent, as you start creating this content, you're just gonna have like more and more ideas. Go watch your own video a couple times, right? A couple of your old videos, you're like, oh, I think I could do that better and create the content in a different way. Instead of being a talking head, be in a model home creating the video. By the way, which is another tip. If you don't have a great place to record, go record in a model home. Nobody's walking. Well, today
Boom.
there's probably a lot of people walking home through them, but it's a great place to go record videos, right?
I dig it. Joseph, as we get ready for the dismount, I'm going to remind everybody to give us a 5-star review. And if you're listening to us on the live stream, then go ahead and give us that thumbs up. It's going to be huge. But as far as my dismount, it's going to be short. It's just do a video. Do a video this
Yeah.
week. And then that's it. Do a YouTube
Yeah.
video.
Um, yeah, I think my dismount will be really simple as well. Uh, don't be afraid to start. Don't
Mm.
let your fear of the unknown keep you from finding out what the known is, which is you're going to make money from YouTube.
Boom. That's the most succinct dismounts that we've had.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, this has been the Agent News Source podcast. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. If there's any questions, please feel free to connect with us. Our links will be linked down below, whatever platform that you happen to be on, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Recording stop.